Hi everyone, welcome to Best Recipes with Sharon. This recipe is about how to make really good hamburger meat pie. And yes, once again, it's made on the flaky pie crust. And that recipe is on one of my previous videos. So let's get started with today's recipe. Place 1 pound of ground beef in a frying pan and fry it over medium to high heat. Add 1 tablespoon of Italian spices and mix that in and let it continue frying. Next, I will be chopping up a little bit of sweet onion and 1 clove of garlic. I need to chop this reasonably fine. Then take a separate frying pan and melt about a tablespoon of butter and fry 1/3 of a cup of onions that have been chopped and the 1 clove of garlic that's been chopped fine as well. And just fry them until they're a little bit translucent. And then add them to the meat mixture like this. And then continue frying until you've got the meat browned up fairly well, because this will make for a really tasty gravy. And speaking of gravy, now add 1 cup of water. And then add half a cup of carrots and peas. So take a large spoon and stir these in and then cover them and let them cook for a good 10 minutes. We want to have the vegetables tenderized a little bit. Now I use Bisto and cornstarch to thicken the gravy with, and I use 2 parts Bisto to 1 part cornstarch. And I mix that in about a half a cup of water. I just mix that in a separate measuring cup like this. And just set that aside until you're ready to use it. Now, get out the rolling pin, take your pie dough that you've made up before from the flaky pie crust recipe, cut off 2 pieces of dough, flour your board, and shape them and keep rolling it back and forth like this so that you can have one of the pie crust for the bottom and one of the pie crust for the top. This pie crust recipe is a really good one. It rolls out really easily and it's easy to work with like this, and you can just flip it up, you be aggressive with it, don't worry about it, it holds together really well. And one of the secrets to making this really well is to just use enough flour when you're mixing it up to make it into a dough. You've got to allow some room for it to have extra flour added when you're rolling it out like this. And you only want just enough flour to do that so that it won't get too dry. It turns out really flaky when it's done, it's beautiful. Can be used for any type of pie, whether it be a fruit pie or a meat pie, or even tarts as far as that goes. So back to our recipe today to do the meat pie filling. Remove the lid and take a spoon and stir this around. Now then, I think it needs a little bit more water, so I'm adding 1 more cup of water. Then bring that to a boil again, and once it starts to boil, then start to add the cornstarch and Bisto mixture. Add it very slowly while you stir briskly. And you may not need all of it, so just add enough to make a thick gravy, stirring constantly to avoid any lumps. And at this point I add a little bit of salt and pepper. And then I sprinkle in about 1 tablespoon of parsley. And take a large spoon and mix that in until it's thoroughly combined. Now then, I'm adding it to the unbaked pie shell. Oh, this smells so good. Then I spread it out evenly with my spoon. And then place the top pie shell over it. And then pinch up the edges to avoid any boiling over. Now there's different ways you can do this, so do it however you like to do it. I just do my own design on the top with a knife, but there is actual templates you can get for making fancy tops as well. So preheat your oven to 400 degrees. Place your pie in that preheated oven and bake it for about 30 minutes or until the top is nicely golden like this. Now remember that your meat has already been pre-cooked, so really all you're doing is baking it in the pie shell until it's nice and golden. Now it's ready to have a piece. You serve it while it's nice and hot, and it is absolutely delicious. Now this is one delicious meal all in one. and it's easy to make, and it's ingredients that you'll have around the house usually. Now you can't beat that, can you? Now go ahead and try it. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for watching Best Recipes with Sharon, and until next time, happy eating!